Leroy Burrell is going to go to Auburn, Gordon. He was at Houston for many years, as you know, very connected with that program. Will now move to the SEC. What'd you think of this decision?
It was very surprising. I mean, not only has Leroy been with Houston for a long time as a coach, but like his entire like track career is based out of
Hmm.
Houston, right? You went there in college, you trained there, it's just like it's all about his entire life. Track and Houston has just been everything.
Hmm.
Um, and so he's like the ultimate like legacy, this is my spot type coach. And so for him to leave, one, I do think it's actually good for the sport that someone of like Leroy Burrell is willing to leave a place like Houston because it's trying to create like an competition or an economy around coaches finding value, like putting more value into coaches because what's the incentive like for Houston? Like you have to create incentives. And now when
Hmm.
someone who really has no reason to leave is now willing to leave, we're now creating more incentives for coaches and there's the industry around track and field to be more valued. The same way the reason why you see college coaches in football and basketball going all over the place. And the reason why that's happening is because the market for those two sports is huge. And so this is good
Hmm.
for the market of track and field. I will say though, um, there was a quote from Leroy. He was being interviewed, and he did mention about you know the obviously the tragic loss of his son Cameron, and how that was kind of a factor in wanting to start a new journey at Auburn. He mentioned when you coach your son there for 5 to 6
Hmm.
years, it's just a lot of memories, and it can be really hard, which makes sense. I mean, there's just so much reminder of that, and that it can be hard to try to be a coach and deal with that on a day to day basis. You mentioned how it was hard this past year. And he also mentioned Houston was great at, being able to like give him everything he needed to go through
Yeah.
this season in the best way possible. So he was very thankful for that. But I think him recognizing that, I thought that was good, and I think he's now going to be able to bring, you know, his expertise because clearly he's one of the best to the SEC. The SEC is going to get even better. Auburn's going to get better. We know Texas is coming to SEC. Obviously, we see what Edric Floral's doing at Texas. SEC we thought is good. It's just getting even better. It's
Hmm.
kind of incredible. The SEC just finds ways to get the best of the best of the best.
Hmm.
Because you see what Kentucky is doing now under Lonnie. Now Auburn's going to have Leroy, Texas Edric's coming in. It's just going to be it's going to pop off
Well, in Tennessee,
in
Tennessee
Tennessee.
with Duane Ross. I don't know if we mentioned
Yes.
that on the pod when it happened because it was in a string of really busy shows there, but he's going from A&T to Tennessee. You had the two best non-power five. I don't even know if people use that term anymore. Sprint programs in A&T and Houston, right? On the men's side, at least, wouldn't you say that? Their
Yeah.
coaches are now going into the SEC, and I'm reminded of I forgot it was who exactly said it a few years ago. I was talking to them, a sprint coach, and they're saying like, yeah, if you're a sprint coach, like getting to the SEC for a lot of coaches is like the realization or fulfillment, a career fulfillment. Like it's part of the journey because you want to be able to be at that highest level of competition. Not to say that you can't get that in other conferences because it's track. You can see them at nationals and stuff, but just the resources and what's available to you there. Most coaches want to see what they can do when they have
The best
all the
talent.
help, all the support, all the support. Yeah, exactly. Like everything going, in your favor. Like what can I do with the best of the best? And that seems to be the draw. Again, we were at Texas 2 weeks ago. Their facilities are no slouch. I mean, they're going to be in the SEC, but it sounds like, oh, Big 12, you guys get no money. No, it's not how it is. But just the level of expectation and then the recruiting advantage there as well too. Ross going to Tennessee. I also thought was interesting too because they hired a distance coach, a high profile distance coach as well, in Sean Carlson, coming from Notre Dame. So, that's just a two-pronged approach there, right? You get Carlson and you get Duane Ross in one spot. Thought that was interesting. Did that surprise you at all?
That did surprise me. Tennessee basically wasn't playing any games. They're like, we're going all in. We're trying to find the best sprint coach and one of the best distance coaches. So it's like, hey, who out there is a great distance coach who's not like settled into their place? Like it's gonna be hard to pull like Mike Smith or Mark Wetmore or any of the
Yeah,
or Ed Eyestone from BYU. But like who's like been doing a good job at the distance level that's young and ready for like a promotion. And Sean Carlson at Notre Dame was the guy. They got the
yeah,
best distance coach that was being prepared to
available.
move on, that was available. And so you had that plus what Duane Ross is doing. That's a great 1-2 punch that if they're able to build up both of those programs, that's going to be, you know, it's going to be pretty scary for, you know, teams in the SEC and nationally.
Yeah,
Because if you're
yeah.
able to combine like three
Yeah, the
good
distance.
distance runners with
Yeah.
three good sprinters, that is enough to podium any given year.